Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters! Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Alright guys, hello, and welcome to something new I'm trying called the Scream Stream, where I talk about anything horror related. It just feels like it's something I really want to do for the stream. As much as I love gaming on the stream and stuff, I have to cut that down because of the bitrate issues going on at the moment on my end. Hi, how's it going, man? But yeah, we're trying something new, trying the podcast thing. We're gonna do all things horror, movies, video games, TV shows, you name it, we're just gonna do it. And as you see, for our first podcast for today, we are talking about the new Hellraiser that came out, I think it was about a week ago. Yeah, Friday. It came out Friday. I've watched it twice so far. I'm gonna be honest, I liked it the first time I watched it a lot more than the second time. I was not really judgmental about it, but I started noticing some things coming across the movie as I was watching it that I had not really an issue with, but I was just like, oh, come on, seriously? Like, that kind of bullshit. Hang on. Now, why do people want to hit me up now of all the times? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I put my phone on silence. But, I mean, to be honest, I give it like a solid 6 out of anything else, 6 out of 10. And originally I had it at a 7 because me and Bidwell, we watched it Friday when it came out. And we agreed that it's not a bad movie, especially compared to the other 10 that came before it. The first 2, of course, to me, being one of the first ones I ever watched, I have high standards for that. They're not my personal favorite, like everybody else who's ever talked about Hellraiser. Hellraiser is not my personal favorite franchise. I like Pinhead, I like the Chatterer, I like aspects of the stories, but I was never like a die-hard Hellraiser fan. But I do enjoy occasionally watching the first and second one. I want to say there's the one with Kirsten comes back. I want to say it's the 6th one, I'm not sure, but that one I don't mind rewatching. But a lot of the other ones I kind of just skip over, don't really care to watch. I want to say the 3rd one or the 4th one, the one that does the whole timeline with the creator of the box and stuff. Well, yeah, I've never been a huge fan of it, but I was interested in this reboot for quite a long while now. I want to say it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I heard mention about them wanting to recreate it, and to be honest, I really couldn't think of a better Pinhead to actually cast in this. Like, a lot of people probably want to, hear my thoughts and ideas of Doug Bradley versus Jamie Clarkson, and we'll eventually get there. But this is a whole entire spoiler territory thing I'm doing. I don't do spoiler free, I'm sorry guys, but I'm going to speak my thoughts. I need to at least let y'all fully understand my train of thoughts, and sometimes I have to delve into some stuff. But let's start with just a simple basic of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, I suggest don't watch this podcast or this, just come back to it after the fact. Just after the fact, watch the movie, come back, and then hear my thoughts on it. But if you're not really interested and just want to hear my thoughts anyway, because you think my voice sounds sexy or some bullshit, I don't know. I'll still give you a plot summary, and then I'll kind of break it down from here. Let's see. Hang on, I gotta go through my notes. I actually took notes. I felt like an actual professional reviewer taking notes during the movie. Very sloppy notes, but notes nonetheless. Okay, so the beginning of the movie starts off kind of basic for a Hellraiser movie, the Strange of the Box. The thing I will say, though, that was quite interesting with the Hellraiser opening is it gave us something I wish I had more of in the movie. Basically, once the box gets exchanged to the rich guy who is named Roland. Who plays that actor? I got his name some here. Oh, Christ. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, guys. I probably won't be saying a lot of the actual actors' names in this, only because I can't pronounce half their names. Like, I got maybe Brandon Flynn, who played Matt, who's the brother in this movie. I could probably say his name. I can't really say the guy who plays Roland. Like, I even have it in my notes. Don't even attempt to say his last name. It's some kind of fancy ass name. But Roland Vaught's the owner, the rich guy in this movie, and he basically has the box, and he's throwing some kind of swanky party and invites some rich kid who's really not important to the story per se. Actually, I don't even say per se. He's just not important to the story. But hey Rex, how's it going, man? I'm doing alright, I'm sorry, you're doing bad, with your stomach issues and all that crap. That really sucks. But anyway, so basically, Roland's throwing this swanky-danky little party, and this kid shows up, goes upstairs, they have a casual conversation about the box, because he's intrigued. Now, the thing that's interesting about the box is it's not in the actual box when you first see it. It's not the box. I forget what configuration it is. It's not the Leviathan. Might be the Lazarus. I don't know. They have a book that you see about halfway through the movie that actually has a better description of the different configurations. But it's in the different configurations in like this kind of optical illusion where it's like it looks like the box from up front, but you look over it, it's like a weird shape, like almost like a banana. It's really weird. But the kid ends up solving it, and what's new about the box is when you solve it, instead of instantaneously the Cenobites show up and go, hey, how's it going? You solve our box, you're coming with us. Instead of that bullshit, it stabs you. And I'm gonna be honest, I have issues with this because of reasons I will get to after I get done doing the basic summary. But it stabs him, and once he gets stabbed, he has this weird delusion, and then suddenly the Cenobites show up, and I say that in air quotes because they don't actually show. Like, we have the dramatic music, the typical Cenobite score, which I really love. I do love the music in this movie, if I might digress for a second. It's very reminiscent of the original Hellraiser, but kind of more of a modern take on it. I really did enjoy it. But anyway, the door opens, blue lights, the harsh blue lights we all know and love from the original Hellraiser and all that. And then we see kind of more in the foreground, or the background, I should say, of him being strung about the chains and screaming, and the Roland is sitting there with the Leviathan configuration saying, fuck, what did he say? He says some kind of religious quote. The Penitent Man, or something like that. I vaguely remember that from, funny enough, The Last Crusade. But so once we have that big old opening, we cut to about 6 years later, and that's when we meet our main cast. Riley, who is the main character of the story, basically. She is a recovering drug addict. It says she likes pills, but they never specify what kind of pills. So I keep saying a lot. I've never really done this before, so I'm just kind of going with the flow here. But basically, she's a recovering addict. She has pill problems, drinking problems. She's staying with her brother and his boyfriend. That would be Matt being the brother and Colin being the boyfriend. And of course they have I'm gonna be honest, I call her the Asian girl because we really don't know much about her. Her name's Nora, but I have a problem with Nora too in this movie, and I'll get to that at some point. But we all meet the cast and crew and whatnot. We have the awkward goodbyes. We have the dramatic, I shit you not, like this is 20 minutes to the movie, guys. 20 minutes. We have here's our main character and watch her fall. That's it. There's no like in between day. It's literally we meet everybody and then we just watch Riley fall. And once she ends up falling, that's when Trevor, her boyfriend, who's a piece of shit by the way, takes her. We go get the box. They try to figure it out. She gets into a fight with her boyfriend. Not the boyfriend, the brother. He gets kicked out, or she gets kicked out. Then starts fucking with the box, and then she opens the box, but she doesn't stab herself with it. Which I find that interesting, that she opened the box, and yet the Cenobites didn't take her out the bat, but suddenly, if she stabs somebody with it, they will take, like, again, it goes back to the rule thing I have issues with, and again, I'll get there. But, once she passes out, the brother goes, try to investigate, see if he can't find her. He ends up, finding her at a playground while she's on, the merry-go-round or whatever. I can't think of what it's called. But, he ends up finding her, grabs the box by mistake, cuts his hand up, tries to keep her awake, so he goes to wash his hands, and while he's in the bathroom, the Cenobites show up. We have this, like, really great build-up to something that never really happens, or we never really get to see, which is disappointing. I'll say I'm not great this evening. Well, Rex, I'm sorry you won't be staying long because you're not feeling good. I completely understand, man. You try to feel better. But basically, my complaint with this, with the brother's disappearance or murder, is there's like this amazing fucking build-up, but nothing happens. And it's really disappointing. But again, I'll harp into that after the fact. So basically, once the sister, wakes up and realizes the brother's gone, the box ends up changing configurations yet again. And she is determined to figure out the whole origin about this box. So she's like, I gotta know more about this box. And while everyone is being the smart person, she's being the dumb person in the movie, fucking with this box. Like, she knows her brother touched the box, and now her brother's missing. And now she just wants to touch the box. That's it. She just wants to touch and figure it out. And it's very annoying. But she eventually does her research and finds out the connection that leads back to Roland. And eventually her, Colin, which is the boyfriend, the brother, Trevor, and Nora, all go to Roland's house. They have kind of like a Scooby-Doo moment, kind of looking around, trying to find shit. Nora ends up going through a secret door. She ends up getting stabbed by a mysterious guy, and I say mysterious guy because, plot twist everybody, it turns out it's Roland. Roland didn't go missing. He didn't die. He's just been hiding out in his house for the past 6 years because he is not having a good life. I'll get into that. But basically, when they try to take Nora out of the house, that's when the Cenobites actually show up. Oh, I actually forgot a part. During the whole investigation scene, they eventually go. Let me back up a little bit. They eventually go back to Roland's, I think they say it was her lawyer? Roland's lawyer. They end up going back to the lawyer, though, and trying to talk to her about the box. She knows what the box is and is insisting on taking the box with her, but they end up getting into a fight, her and Roland do, and she ends up getting stabbed with the box, and she ends up getting taken away by the Cenobites. So this is why Trevor wants to get rid of the box compared to why Ryland wants to keep searching on the box. Anyway, once they try to take Nora out of the situation, the Cenobites, like I said, show up. We have this, amazing fucking moment. It's actually, the big reveal, which is really cool. It's about an hour in, and it's the big reveal of the Cenobites and Pinhead for the first time. We've been in the shadows a little bit. I think we saw, which one was it? It It's the one that looked kind of like Angelique. I'm not sure which one that is because we have the Chatter, the Weeper, Officiate, Gasp, and the Mask, Masku or something like that, as our Cenobites for this particular movie. But anyway, and I keep losing my train of thought, man. Again, I've never done this, guys. It's my first trial run, and I'll probably be a little bit better about it next week because I'll be talking more about a movie I'm more passionate about. Like, I like Hellraiser 2022, don't get me wrong, but I really want to discuss the new Halloween movie. And I'll be having my buddy Bidwell, who would be my co-star and all this shit, be able to talk with me on this shit. But anyway, back to Hellraiser 2022. So, once the Cenobites make their grand appearance, they take Nora. That's when Riley ends up talking to Pinhead again, and Pinhead, of course, proclaims, if not you, another. And so she ends up, not knowing what to do, has to go back to the house, and the kerfuffle. Again, this is another problem I have. Colin ends up falling at some point, right? And the Chatter is right behind them. And the Chatterer just walks right on by. And it makes sense that he's going for Riley, yes, but he ends up biting Trevor. So I'm not getting the exact rules here, but anyway, I digress. So they end up fighting Chatter for all of like 5 seconds before they stab my homeboy in the chest and kill his ass, which I got serious beef with. I'll get to that in a minute. But once they take care of that, they realize, hey, we could use the fucking Cenobites to fuck with the box. So they try to lure one in, and before they could do that and have it trapped, because the house, Roland's house, it's like this big-ass configuration trap box in itself that you can just do a flip of a switch and then lock everybody in. So they try to lock one in while the others stay out, so they end up stabbing them, but Roland's up making his grand appearance and fucking shit up. He fucks all that shit up. So unfortunately, because he fucks shit up, the grand plot twist is revealed. Now I'm gonna be honest. I should have seen this coming. So did my buddy Bidwell. We did not see this shit coming. We should have, but we didn't. But what ended up happening was you find out Trevor, the boyfriend, who I really didn't think much of, turns out he's working with Roland the entire time and was planning on sacrificing Riley to the box. We really should have seen that shit coming, but we were completely taken aback. I'm actually shocked to say the twist that the boyfriend was evil and in on the whole time finally actually paid off. Only took 20 some odd years, but finally found a movie where it wasn't in my face, or I didn't call it beforehand. I don't know, maybe I just wasn't paying attention to that, but the point is, it took both of us, but we were just like, oh my god, we really should have seen that shit coming. We really should have. But, so, once the big twist happens, Colin, of course, gets stabbed by the box by Roland, summon Leviathan, which, I like that, by the way. The fact that they actually brought back the Leviathan as the still main god of the whole situation. I really, really like that. Like, they didn't change that lore or whatever. But anyway, so, once I think they ended like kind of splitting off, where it's like Riley with Colin running with the boyfriend, away from the boyfriend, and Roland's having his own conversation with Pinhead. They both end up making deals where Riley ends up killing her boyfriend to save Colin, and Roland ends up making a deal for the Leviathan configuration so he can have power. And ends up biting everybody in the ass, I feel like, to be perfectly honest. Like, seriously, like, even though Riley and Colin end up surviving to the end of the movie, I feel like she has immense guilt about that. And again, I'll delve more into that once I can get to my train of thought. But, yeah. And then, oh god, sorry, I'm just thinking about the ending. I really don't know how to describe this ending, but basically, first I was confused by it. I'm gonna be honest. It was very confusing. I got a lot of religious imagery with it. But it ends with Roland basically being butt naked, pale as shit, and like a blinding, weird, like oh god, what is the kinetic scopes? It almost looks like a fucking kinetic scope, all in white, kind of hypnotizing his ass. And on top of all this shit, he's strapped down, almost like in the crucifying position, while his flesh is being filleted off of him, and pins all being stuck inside of him, and it's just like glorious lights and dramatic music playing as we pan away. And it was very confusing at first, very confusing, and probably as I describe it, sounds very confusing. But now that I'm done with basically the synopsis of it, sorry that was a long, boring synopsis. Let's actually delve into the more meat of the Hellraiser. So, like I said, I grew up with Hellraiser back when I probably watched it way too young, to be perfectly honest. Way too fucking young. But I ended up catching it on AMC during Oktoberfest. If y'all remember, AMC used to have like 31 Nights of Halloween where they would play a lot of different horror movies. The Thorn trilogy from Halloween was one of their favorites to play. But they occasionally threw in a very edited TV, watered-down version of Hellraiser 1 and 2. And I think I watched some of the other ones on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day. And I know the one when they send Pinhead to outer space, that one I watched a lot there. But like I said, I grew up with Pinhead. He didn't really resonate with me too terribly much. I can appreciate Clive Barker's vision because I have read bits and pieces of the book. I never actually sat down and read the full book, but I did look into the Cenobites themselves and where they were at in the book, and they're really not in the book all that much. Very surprisingly, they're not in the book all that much, but they made such a big impact, which is weird if you think about it, that we all kind of say Hellraiser, we think of the Cenobites when that's not really the purpose of the book. I can't remember the actual purpose of the book, but for the movie in the 2022 version, the purpose is about addiction. Where I'm not quite sure with the original one in the original movie back in '87. I don't know the purpose of that one. I guess adultery and affairs. Maybe sexual desires. I really couldn't tell you because it was a wacky fucking movie. It really was. But I can appreciate for what it was at the time and just the practical effects they used. A lot of the gore, the blood. It was really well done, and that's something I really liked about the original films, is that how gritty they were. They weren't like grindhouse films. They weren't like that, but they were pretty bad. And I felt kind of like an adult when I was watching it on AMC because I shouldn't have been watching it. But I was watching it, and it felt kind of sneaky, you know. You finally, like, pop in that first rated R movie of your life, and you're like, don't let mom and dad find out. But I thoroughly enjoyed the 87 movie. 1 and 2, of course, my personal favorite, like a lot of people. And I have to say, Doug Bradley, even though the writing of the franchise definitely dipped down a lot in quality. Like, I have to admit, the quality of film definitely dipped down, especially after 3. It started getting a little corny, slapsticky in a way, outrageous plot lines. I'm not sure how many of them are there, but out of 11 films, he did 8 of them. Out of the 8 films, I think 3 or 4 of those weren't even supposed to be Hellraiser movies. Like, I know for a fact that several of the Hellraiser movies weren't even supposed to be Hellraiser movies. Like they had a completely different, like one of them's a cop drama. A rather obvious cop drama, but Hellraiser Pinhead was just thrown in there because they wanted to keep the license and keep it going. Even though they had no purpose behind it, they were just like, here, throw that in. How are we going to do this? We don't know. Just throw it in. But it doesn't make any sense. We just need the license to keep going. Throw it in. So a lot of these movies came out pretty garbage. Now, there was a handful of the sequels. I mean, like a handful, like maybe about 2 I could pick up that were done really well, that felt more like a Hellraiser movie, but it really wasn't in the end. But I have to say, this one, the 2022 version, it kind of felt like a Hellraiser movie. One of my biggest gripes with the movie is that I felt like they could really have done more to make it more Hellraiser. I get it. This is like a PG-13 version. It was like literally watching it on television again for me. Because, like, the first kill, with the random kid at Roland's apartment in the opening, or Roland's mansion in the opening. Like I said, we had this really great build-up of the music. This fucking hook comes and grabs his leg, and it yanks down a little bit. You just see the beautiful, prosthetic. I don't even want to say prosthetic, but effects of the hook into his leg, ripping his flesh, the blood gushing out. Like, it was really, really cool. And then, of course, we pan away, we're looking at Roland, and we see the amazingness of him being strung up by these hooks and just his horrifying screamings. And as an opening kill, that's amazing. That's fucking, like, that's like, all right, we don't want to blow our load all the way, but here's what's to come. But the problem is, it never came. Even though the saying is, you opened the box, I came. I opened the box, he never came. Because let me explain. So, we get, like I said, let's go with Matt's death. The first death after the rich kid. Basically, like I said during the synopsis, when he grabs the box and his hand's bleeding, he goes to wash his hands, the door cracks open, the fucking hell gates open up, we get the dramatic blue light, and then we get like the sink starting to fill up with blood, like it's took a note out of Stephen King's It over here. Dramatic music spiking up, the lights are flickering, guy's holding his hand, looking in the mirror staring back at him. It's this entire intense build up, and then we just pan to Riley, and all we hear is some screaming, and then we literally just cut to the next scene. I'm like, okay, maybe, again, there's a big reveal, a big shocker, a big, oh my god moment, of seeing his body filleted or something, and not really, to be perfectly honest. We do get to see him 2 more times out of this as a ghost. Like, I don't even know if we can classify him as a ghost. Like, he's dead for sure. He's fucking dead. He's dead, ain't coming back. But he's trapped with the Cenobites, so are you technically a ghost? Are you a demon? Are you just hunting the box? Like, what is this? But it really didn't pay off because of the fact that when you see him again, he's just normal looking. Like, just normal, like, everyday, plain Joe, regular dude. Just very fucking normal. And it was really disappointing. The only, like, oh my god factor we get is when she's hugging him, and then she touches his back, and you see his back is filleted, and he looks almost like Frank did back in the first movie. Which I really wish we would have got more of that. Like, I really did, but it was like a quick cutaway. Boom, gone, done, one and done. It's like, okay, well, maybe the next death. And, of course, we have the lawyer, Roland's lawyer, Suzanne or something like that. But her death, again, another great fucking build-up to nothing. We have it where, she gets reeled in after Riley and her get into a fight, and she gets stabbed with the box. They reel her in, and then behind her, the gates start opening up, the blue lights. She's trying to sneak away. And if I may digress for a second, there was something that confused me in Bidwell. In the room with her is a dude wheezing on the bed, right? He's just being, dying, I'm assuming. And while she's sneaking away, she accidentally knocks over her oxygen tank, so she's got to quickly sneak away. And as she's sneaking out, you look at the Cenobite that comes into his room, and it's just leaning over the dude. And me and Bidwell are just like, why the fuck are you going after him? He didn't do anything. He didn't even open the box. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell, man? But we don't know if he actually died or not. I find it a little weird that we didn't have a wheezing Cenobite until that man disappeared, and suddenly, woo, we have a wheezing Cenobite. But I digress. But anyway, she walks out of the room, she goes down the hallway. Of course, you see the pillar from the ending of 2, actually, which I really like that nod, which they actually had a lot of nods, and I'll get to that in that section at some point. But, we see the pillar, she's, you know, running away. She ends up running into the Cenobites because you really can't go very far. And we get our first look at one of the Cenobites. Again, I wish I knew which one it was. It's the one that looks like Angelique from I think it's the third or fourth movie. But she looks like Angelique. It's not Angelique though. It could be the Weeper. I'm not sure, but she looks really badass, to be honest. But she shows up. She says a really cool line of, you know, save your breath, or save your scream is a waste of a perfectly good breath, or something like that. And it was very reminiscent of classic Pinhead, and I really like that. But once again, we get like this amazing build-up. We get to see the Cenobites, and all she does is put a needle on Suzanne's tongue, and that's it. That's just it. That's just it. And it's just like, okay, what else are you gonna do? And they don't do anything else, and it's really disappointing. It's again, let's keep going. So we get on to the next death. So my logic again is still, well, maybe they're just waiting. Like there's gotta be a reason why they're not showing us the full detail, because you think back to the original Hellraiser, the second, the third, even the fourth one, they always showed you these cool dramatic deaths that were just wacky and off the fucking wall, and here we get nothing. Like in the next death after the lawyer, we didn't have Nor, which I'm gonna be honest, I like Nor's death. The whole build up, granted though, it gave me blue balls like a motherfucker. The whole build up was really good. And there's also the death where we get to see Pinhead for the very first time make her grand appearance, which again, Jamie Clayton did an amazing job. But her death is when she gets stabbed by Roland. They're trying to take her out in the van. Basically, the gates of hell just open up out of the fucking ground, which I actually like the fact that the gates of hell, they really have no set rules. It's, we're gonna open up here. Hope you don't mind that. And it could be like in the middle of the fucking woods, and they'll find a way to open the gates of hell up. But they open up. She, of course, gets brought into the world, and she gets strung up and then brought towards Pinhead, and that's when Pinhead hears, God, what is she saying? She's like asking for what was it? Salvation. I think it was salvation. She was asking for salvation, and Pinhead, of course, she's just like, bitch, please, you in the wrong place for that shit. But again, the whole build up, we get the, of course, one of the coolest moments when she takes the needle and sticks it through Nora's neck. We get like a POV shot with inside of her throat as the needle's piercing through, and it's very, very, like it literally takes me back to the classic Pinhead. But again, nothing happens. Like as soon as we get like this cool thing, she says, Pinhead says a snarky little line, and then we just cut to them in the back of the van about to fucking crash it. So it's just like, you keep giving me blue balls for my death, but okay, let's go on to the next one. And then of course we have, let's see, who is after Nora? I think that was, yeah, Trevor, and then Roland. But yeah, Trevor, again, wonderful build-up. You know, Riley ends up stabbing him with the box. Once again, he ends up falling onto the ground. Wires come out, and I think clutch his wrist, around his neck, and they start pulling on him, and it starts filleting his flesh back, which I really like that effect. That was a sweet fucking effect. I'm not gonna lie about that. That was one of the best fillet moments. I wish we would have got more of that, to be honest. But yeah, we get to see the filleted flesh, and right before he just drops into a hole. Just a hole. And then of course we look down the hole and we see it's like a pit of eternal fuckingness. But it just goes nowhere. And of course Roland's death, I think, has, actually his death is not even a death. It's I mean, I don't know. In some way it is death, because of the fact that he technically is dying and becoming a Cenobite. But the whole thing is, he has sensation, which I think was the Lamar configuration. I think that's what it was. But basically, Roland's got this device in his chest, and it pulls on every fiber, nerve ending, you name it, it just pulls up on him, and it never gives him a moment of relaxation. It's like agony, painful agony. And so that's just why he wanted to summon back the fucking Cenobites back into his world. I feel like I'm bouncing all over the place here, but my notes are all over the fucking place. But yeah, when it comes to the deaths though, when it comes to Roland's death, it's like once he gets his device out of him, because Pinhead ends up tricking him. Because he ends up tricking Pinhead and them inside the house, locking them in so he can have the conversation with them. And then he ends up getting double-crossed by Riley, and he ends up meeting her face to face, and he's sitting there talking to Pinhead, and Pinhead's like, you know what, maybe we pegged you wrong. Maybe it wasn't sensation you were after. Maybe it was power. Maybe it was domination over everything. I think the exact quotations were, you seek dominance, domain over all, or something like that. But the only reason why she suggested that is because he wanted the device that was placed on him off of him. He was just like, take this shit, I don't want it back, just take it back. I just can't anymore. And of course she says, gifts cannot be given back. Like, I can't just take it back. No refunds here, okay? Exchanges though, they can do exchanges. So he ends up exchanging by her trickery, and she tricks him into the Leviathan configuration, which gives you absolute power. And so once the device like crumbles and falls off of him, he ends up basically getting stabbed through the fucking chest with a big ass chain that comes out of the sky, and then it lifts him up into the ceiling above, and he winds up in this, like I described earlier, a big room full of like a kinetic scope lighting, all white with a little hint of blue. And it's like hypnotizing him, and he's filleting his flesh, and he's getting needles thrown into him and shit. Like, that's the most graphic detail we got, but it really wasn't Hellraiser graphic. It was good. Actually, no, I take that back. It was Hellraiser graphic. Lack of blood, though. The lack of fucking blood, but I feel like that's probably because of the room he's in. That's what I'm telling myself, and you can't change my mind otherwise. But anyway, so yeah, once he actually has one of the more cooler, quote unquote, I guess, I wouldn't even say deaths, to be honest. Like I said, it's not really death to me. He's dying from his immortal plane and becoming an immortal Cenobite. So, okay. Now what, do we have a coin I can flip for this? Shit, no, I don't have any money. Fuck. I was gonna flip a coin. At this point, let's just figure this out. Okay, so we're gonna agree to disagree to agree that I'm a fucking idiot and can't make up my mind whether I say he has a death or not. But the point is, he ends up becoming a Cenobite, so that's like one of the more cooler graphic moments we have. But comparing all that to the original one, it's not as gritty or as gruesome or as horrifying or even as spectacular. Like, again, original one, great build up, perfect payoffs. Like, all right, we see the fucking chains come out and rip Frank apart. We actually get to see Pinhead pick up the pieces of Frank and go, let's go, bitch. With this, we don't get to see anything like that. Nothing that crazy. Now, I want to say that's something I just really missed about the 2022 version of this movie. Like, really. Just really. But yeah, no, it's just, it wasn't as gritty. It wasn't as dark. It's probably the best way I could put it. Yeah, not as harsh as gritty. I think it's been well put. He said it's kind of classy. Not like in a classical sense, but it looked polished. It looked good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the movie looked good. The movie looked real good. And let's actually move on to my next segment, or a segment I have, since we're talking about how good the film is. The design of the Cenobites. I would have to say that the design of the Cenobites were really actually spot on to the descriptions of the book, because in the book it really wasn't about the bondage outfits, to be perfectly honest. It was more about the torture, the shredding of the human flesh. How did they put it in the book? It was more like shredding your humanity in some aspects and becoming this creature of pleasure and pain. And I really like how they did that. Like, even Chatter looked good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Chatter looked real fucking good. Granted, though, I was taken aback the first time he came onto the screen. And I was like, oh my god, Chatter! You're fucking naked, bro! Put your pants on! And then, like, the rest of them walk out, they're all completely naked. And I was just like, okay, this is where we're going with this. I got it. But the effects, the practical effects that they had on the actors, there it is. I was trying to figure out why earlier the word prosthetic was not working well. And I think I know why, because the word I was looking for was practical, not prosthetic. And now here I'm looking for the word prosthetic, not practical. Again, I'm all over the place. But, yeah, the prosthetic effect, I was about to say practical effects. The prosthetic latex and everything they had to the costumes were really great. Who did do it? I'm trying to think who actually did the Russell FX. They did the makeup and artistry to Hellraiser 2022. I can't remember who did the makeup and all that with the original Hellraiser, but I really liked Hellraiser's bondage look. Like, it really set with him. He found his look. He stayed with him, you know? And a lot of people try to replicate it with several different of the Hellraiser movies. They try to replicate the Pinhead. And for some reason, they just never could get it right. You know, whether it was too much of the black leather, it was too many nails. It's just, sometimes they just never got it. It was like, OG classic Pinhead worked. But for some reason, this one really works well. I have to say, it really, really works well. And I like it, the fact that you can kind of like see inside of her throat a little bit. The nails look really good. Very, again, I go back to saying this, gritty, harsh. Her nails in itself, you can tell by how sleek and smooth they are. Like, they're not actual, like, hard nails you would use to hammer up, like, a picture or something. They're more like soft, petite nails you would use to sew a dress, almost. But it really worked with this Pinhead. It really, really worked. And I thoroughly enjoyed the overall look and aspects of him. Especially the Chatter. My homeboy Chatter. My homeboy Chatter, man. Chatter was always one of my favorites. Chatter was always one of my favorites, man. And they did him dirty. I'll get to that one in a minute. Right now, I'm talking about the wardrobe. But the sleek designs, the where my thing is, being they had Jamie Clayton playing Pinhead, they really could have fucked this up and over-sexualized her. Because granted, the internet's already beat you there by like 10 years. But still, they really could have gone that way, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm really glad they didn't. Yes, the movie's supposed to be sexy, especially with the whole BDSM sexuality about the movie, especially the old school ones. They could have really played a lot more in that with her outfit, and they didn't, and I appreciate that. Like, seriously, guys, I really appreciate that. Like, I praise y'all for that choice. I really do. But you are missing a big aspect when it comes to the sexual dominance of the character, and I'll get to that in a minute. But overall, the costume designs for the Cenobites were just spot on. They were perfect. I loved them. Nobody else really had any kind of really cool costume designs, to be honest, except for maybe Roland with his digital design of the device that was stuck inside of its chest. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which would be Doug Bradley versus Jamie Clayton. And to be honest, you really couldn't compare the two. Like, they're both playing Pinhead, yes, but they're completely two different Pinheads, especially in the writing. Because, like I was explaining to my roommate earlier about Doug Bradley's portrayal, yes, he was a very harsh Pinhead with very deep voice, very, brooding, a very intimidating motherfucker. And don't get me wrong, Jamie Clayton, she's very intimidating too, but in a different way. Pinhead had rules he followed. personal rules of himself he followed. Like, case in point, back in the second movie, I cannot think of the girl's name, but she was really good with puzzle boxes, and while she did the puzzle box, of course she finished it, and Pinhead showed up and was just like, hey, wait a minute. You didn't want to open this box. Who the fuck made you open this box? Yeah, you come here. I don't want her, I want you. Like, he had, rules, unless you touch the box, he didn't come at you. And that's a killer I can kind of respect, like a man who can follow his own rules. But this goes, I think, more into the side discussion I want to have when it comes to the box itself. When I'll get there probably after this, because I really do want to discuss the box. But, yeah, it's just, I guess it does come from the loyalty of the box, though. The fact that the box had rules, that's a different set of rules, because we gotta remember the 2022 one, it's not a remake, it's a reboot. They're rebooting the entire franchise because they want to do something unique and cool with it that we haven't really seen since 2018, and even still, that movie was garbage. Like, that one, I think, physically made me ill. I want to say it was the last one. It was the one, or could have been the second to last one, but it was the one where in the opening it had that fat guy in it, and he was very sweaty, and then he ate the paper and then vomited it, and then the nurses came up behind him and ate the paper. Yeah, that shit was just really nasty to me. Like, that wasn't even good nasty. That was just like, bro, that's just nasty. That's just fucking nasty, and you need help. But, Doug Bradley, though, he's always been a tremendous, really good Pinhead. He's done it for 8 films. Of course, Paul T. Taylor and Stephen Smith, they portrayed Pinhead as well. But they didn't do as good a job. I think they were trying to hold on too much with the intimidating factor that Doug Bradley have. But Doug Bradley it's Doug Bradley. It's like trying to compare the Chucky voice with Mark Hamill and Doris. I can't think of his first name at this moment. It completely just escaped me. I think it's Brad Doris, right? No. Yes. No. I don't know. Different franchise. The point is, you can't really compare the two because of the fact that they're completely two different actors who have two different voices that are very iconic and recognizable. Both portray the same character, but in 2 different ways. And I might actually do a comparison between those 2 movies at some point. But, yeah, no, he did, 8 of these movies, and he did his best throughout all these movies. Even though some of them were crappy fucking movies, he did his best. And Jamie, being the first female, and the thing is, what's interesting about this is technically she's not the first female Cenobite. Hell, she's not even the first, I think, female High Priestess. I think in the comic books there was a female Pinhead. Yeah, I want to say. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. But what makes Jamie Clayton's Pinhead very interesting and completely different from Doug Bradley's portrayal of Pinhead is she's unisex, which means she doesn't have a man nor a woman's voice. She's just there, and I really, really like that they went with the book, because in the book Pinhead really didn't have a sexuality. Pinhead was just Pinhead. Oh, here's this person, demonic entity. He's here to claim your soul in fucking hell, and I really can appreciate that. But yeah, overall, I would say I would love to see more from Jamie Clayton. To be honest, I really would, because playing a character that's very iconic to begin with already, it's hard enough. And of course, luckily, it's not like she was doing like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees or anything like that, because then that would have been some harsh criticism. But Pinhead, you have that flexibility where you can change the gender up on Pinhead, and to be honest, I haven't heard anybody complain or bitch about it because it makes sense. The fact that in the book, Pinhead is kind of unisex, so anyone could really play Pinhead, and I think if you find the right person, which Jamie Clayton was the right person, they could play Pinhead well. And she did. She did a good job. She had, of course, iconic lines. You know, we have such sights to show you. You know, with the whole gifts thing, like, well, we can't give these bags, you know, all this shit. She did really good. She's gonna have some iconic lines herself, I have to say. She's probably gonna have some iconic lines, especially the whole savior line, which unfortunately I didn't write that one down. But if I may also add a little funny tidbit, because this movie is on Hulu, I'm pretty sure that's why it was not as gritty and as dark. It's because on Hulu, and we all know Disney owns Hulu, which means Disney owns the configuration box. So guys, on Christmas, be sure to make sure you don't buy the configuration box. Please don't. Just don't do it. Disney might entice you. Just, hey, check out this nice box. It's a great centerpiece. Don't do it. But let's talk about the box, because that's something I really, really want to talk about. So like I said during the synopsis, the box originally wasn't a box. It was in one of the configurations, which you have the laments, which is life, lore, which is knowledge, laudorance, which is love, Lamarl or something like that, which is sensation, Lazarus, which is resurrection, and Leviathan, which is power. Now, when you first see the box, I don't know which configuration it's in, but of course, every time you solve it, it changes its configuration. Now, here's my beef with it. So, in the old school version of Hellraiser, the box really had, I want to say, maybe a handful of rules that were never stated, but it was just obvious. First of all, the box's power is it feeds on your needs. Like, your needs to solve the box. Like, for some reason, you're just drawn to solve this box. Which, I feel like, and I will discuss this at some point as well, they really could have played off with the box in this aspect, because they really, I'm assuming again it's because of Hulu and shit, or just some kind of creative decision made, but they really cut down a lot of the sexual tension in the movie. Like, a lot of the sexual tension, because in the first movie, of course, a lot of the sexual tension is from Julia having countless affairs to kill and bring the Frank so he can mutilate them and get skin. And this one, we don't get like a lot. We get, like, I think 2 sex scenes. Which, again, I'm not complaining, because I hate movies that just, like, throw in sex scenes just to throw in sex scenes. But I feel like they really could have done a lot more with it, especially with the box. And again, I'll explain later. But my problem with the box is, you open the box. Once you saw the box, you knew what you were kind of getting yourself into. Like, you knew there was power and desire, pain and pleasure in this box, and you open it. Like, cause you were like, ah, that's what I want. I really want that pain and pleasure, right, motherfucker? I just really want it. And of course, they show up and they go, okay, you open the box, you're fucked, come with us. End of discussion, alright? And this one, because they rebooted the rules and shit, now it makes no sense. You can open the box, but yet not be taken? Because you can trade your soul to somebody else? I mean, that in itself just didn't make any sense to me. Like, the whole point of the box was you were supposed to have the desire to open the box. And if people who didn't have the desire to open the box, well, nothing happened, because they didn't want the box. They're just, the box was put in their lap and said, here, have fun. You know? So in some ways, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that as someone who opens the box, nothing happens to you. You have the choice to look at Pinhead instead of making a deal after they tell you you're fucked. They kind of give you the choice that, hey, make your deal. I'm just like, you kind of taking out a lot of intense factors you had build up, guys. Like, really, you had a lot of good build up and not a lot of payoffs. I think it's the best way I can describe this movie. It's a good movie, good build up, not a good payoff though. But yeah, so there's like no understanding of the rules of the box. Because here's another thing. So my homeboy Chatter, right? My homeboy Chatter. This motherfucker got did dirty as fuck. Dirty as fuck. We went out and see this dude. Finally makes his grand appearance, right? He does his thing. He's chasing. It goes back to that thing I was talking about with Colin. Colin falls, right? Colin falls. Chatter walks right on by him. No fucks given. Just, hey, bro, how's it going, man? So I was like, okay, we can use Colin to get around all this bullshit. Because Colin, they don't want Colin. Colin has nothing to do with this shit. But for some reason, they want Riley and Trevor. And again, Trevor didn't make any sense because Trevor wasn't stabbed with the box and he didn't open it. So why did Chatter bite him? Like, it just made no sense to me. Like, it really didn't. And then, in the midst of this chaos, she takes the box and stabs Chatter with the box. And I'm just like, okay, you stabbed my homeboy Chatter with the box. What you gonna do now? And then he dies. And I was just like, the fuck? Like, the fuck? Like, you telling me my homeboy Chatter showed up for all of, like, 15 minutes just to get killed off by a loophole? He got killed off by a loophole, guys. And that's really disappointing to me. Really disappointing. He got killed off by a loophole. And there's no explaining it. Like, nobody says shit. Like, it happens, and everyone's just like, okay, well, I guess this happens now. Like, can we get, like, an explanation about this? Like, can someone sit down and explain the rules of the new box now? Because I find it bullshit that you can open the box, summon the fucking Cenobites, and just stab one of the Cenobites and go, okay, where's my wish? Like, that just makes you an asshole. Like, I wouldn't even want to play with you at that point. If I was a Cenobite, just, all right, you just stab my, you know what, I'm taking my box back and I'm leaving. Goodbye. Nah, fuck you, man. Fuck you. You want to see Leviathan? Die yourself. Fuck you. Like, seriously, it made no fucking sense. And it's still, but like, a week later, I'm still sitting there going, my homeboy Chatter got killed by a loophole and I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I really don't. But that was one of my biggest complaints was that the rules of the box are not clearly defined. Like, you don't need to sit there and have a whole research montage of the rules of the box. Like, you could have rules, not say the rules, but see the rules be implemented. Like, at this point, it's like free game. You could have the box, stab somebody with it, and then hand it to somebody else, and then walk the fuck away. The person you stabbed is gonna die. The person holding the box is gonna be traumatized. Yeah. So it's just like, what do you do, with this knowledge? All right, so you can kill the Cenobites with the box now. And I guess it was just because they needed a reason to get to point A to point B. For the climax, we had to get one of these guys trapped inside. Well, yeah, it just made absolutely no sense to me that the bots could kill one of the Cenobites and it still counts it as a death. Like, it made no sense. Like, they wield it. If they wield it, why doesn't the box just not kill them? I don't know. Again, I didn't write this. That's the thing about the writing of this movie. It has its moments where it has some strong moments. And then it has this very, like, paint by numbers, we have to get to A to B here. Like, it's just, again, great build-up, not a payoff. Like, I want more from this movie, but let's talk about the actual characters here. Okay. So, I kind of want to start with Trevor, actually. I was going to start with Riley, but I actually want to start with Trevor. Trevor, to me, going back and rewatching it the second time, actually had one of the better writing of the characters, I have to say. Because there were certain things I noticed he was doing or said that once that big plot twist of him working with Roland came out, it made sense. But at the time, it also made sense for his character because he's a recovering drug addict, as well as Riley, because they met in a 12-step program. But basically, when you first meet them, they're having sex, right? And while they're having sex, of course, he leans in, whispers, and says, "I love you." Now, to some people, you know, especially, you know, when I first saw it, I was just like, oh, he's falling in love with her. You know, he's a recovering drug addict, and two crackheads meeting each other, and they're in love. That's cute. Adorable. But no, once you figure out the twist, that he was going to use Riley for the box, it makes sense. Now, you don't just see it as, oh, he was in love with her. He was manipulating her. He was using love as a tool to convince her to do the shit. And it's fucked up. And I like that about a secret villain. And then the fact that when they go and get the box from the warehouse and they're trying to open up the safe, at first it takes me off the fact that he's sitting there and he's not trying so hard to open the box, like to get inside the safe to get to the box. Like he's just sitting there like nonchalant about it, you know, like he's smoking a fucking cigarette. Are you gonna give it up at any point? No? Okay. But, you know, at first I was like, why doesn't he try? Like, he's desperate for this, you know, he's desperate to get in this box too. Why is he not trying? It makes sense now why he's not trying. And then when they're talking to the lawyer, he's all agitative and fidgety, like, hey, man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk about this. No, let's go. And, you know, at first I just thought it was like him tweaking in a way, you know, not him like he just did drugs and he was tweaking out, but like a cold tweak where it's like the agitation is hitting him. So I didn't think much of it. And, you know, his whole thing of not wanting to fuck with the box and kind of throw it out and shit kind of made more sense because, you know, he wants to get her away from the box so he can take it to Roland and be like, all right, here's your shit, man. But, you know, Riley being the person she is, like, no, I gotta figure out this box. I need to bring my brother back. You know, he couldn't get the box away from her. But I think he has some of the better writing of all the characters. Even though he didn't have much of a character development, he has some of the better writing because just some of those little things like that his character got to do and the overarching bubble of it all. That makes him one of the biggest assholes, and I love the fact that he died. Very painfully, I hope. But let's go on to the brother Matt. We'll talk about Riley last, because I got a lot to say about Riley. Matt, he's played by Brendan Flynn. How do I best describe this? He's the typical over-caring but right brother. He does not like Trevor off the bat. He says that right off the bat, just, hey man, I don't like him, okay? He's bad news. I could care less about him. But he's very overprotecting because he knows she's a recovering drug addict. He knows she's still trying to deal with everything, but yet he's still trying to push her to do something with her life. Hey, go get a job. Yeah, I need rent money. You could do better than Trevor. And I think that's what ends up pushing her back a little bit because as somebody who's dealt with a alcoholic in the family, I can get where he's coming from. You don't want to kick them out of the house because you don't know what they're going to do once they're out of the house. But you don't want them in the house because they're just making your life a living hell. And it fucking sucks because you love them. You do. But you're stuck between a rock and a hard place and they're not making it easy, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning. They come in drunk as fuck and they're lying to you. But I classify Matt more as the motivation for the reason why she keeps fucking with the box, because that's all he is, his motivation. He dies 20 minutes into the movie. Like, he's the first main death outside of the rich guy in the opening of the movie. So, it's... I feel like they really could have done a lot more with this character. You know, maybe kind of fleshed him out just a little bit. And I want to say one of the things I did like about him was that he was a very relatable brother, and the fact that he was written to be caring, but yet slightly overprotective was nice. It was just very one-noted. And I feel like if you're gonna go with that route, flesh them out a little bit. And that's my problem with a lot of these characters. They're very one-noted characters because they only have one reason in the movie. I.e., Trevor, his one reason in the movie is secret plot twist. He's the plot twist. He's the plot twist. Not Roland. He's the plot twist. Matt, of course, he's the motivation why she keeps fucking with the box. Then you got Colin, who is the boyfriend. Yeah, he's the boyfriend. Colin, he's played pretty likable. Again, not much to know about his character. Very kind of one-noted, like I said. Very non-fleshed out. He cares about Riley because after the fight that she has with her brother, he tries to go and talk to her. Go like, hey, come back inside. Let's talk about this. It's cool. You're okay. And she blows him off. But then he also has that side where he wants to blame her for her brother's disappearance, but he doesn't. So it's giving him a bit of a character, moment of he wants to blame her, but it's not really her fault. He's just missing and he don't know what to do. So he kind of follows her around a little bit. So, I mean, I don't know. Kind of, like I said, one note is literally, like, I'm trying to find more words to describe this character with, but I can't find the words, man. I can't find these fucking words. Like, I've tried, but I can't. I'm like going through the dictionary trying to find, like, creative words. Just, is he erroneous? Yes. But, yeah, unfortunately, Colin and Nora, who's the next one I want to talk about, they really get, like, the shit into the stick here. Especially Nora. Nora, I think, has the equivalent of 10 lines throughout this entire movie. Maybe 12 if we listen real carefully. And her only purpose in the movie is to die. Like, I'm being dead serious. If you take Nora out of the entire equation, the movie wouldn't change. Like, you would actually shorten the movie up because the movie's 2 hours long. But the movie wouldn't change if you move Nora out of the picture. I get why she's there, though. She's the whole da-da-da-da, here's the big reveal of the fucking Cenobites and all that. Here's Pinhead. Here's the actual thing. And it's just... it's disappointing. It's disappointing that they had all these characters they really could have played with, and they made them one-noted. Like, I hate to say it, they kind of did that with the Cenobites, too. Except Pinhead. It's like they put all their writing into the two main Cenobites, and everybody else either had no lines or was just told, be creepy. And I can get that. I can get behind that, but... the writing, though. The writing could just be better. Like, the writing really could just be better for these characters, especially Nora. God bless that chick. Miss Hines, Alfred, again, I'm not going to try to pronounce her name because I'm going to butcher it from hell and back. But she was, from the scenes we saw, she was really funny. And I really liked her. And she got, I shit you not. We actually forgot, me and Bidwell forgot she was in the movie. That's how forgettable she is. She showed up and we're like, oh shit, she's still here. And we were just like, who is she? We had to go back and go back to the beginning and find out she's the roommate. She's a roommate. Oh, it was just, oh my god. And then Riley. Again, Riley's not bad. She's written very well. She has a good arc of redemption and the clarification at the end that she's going to have to live with this for the rest of her life. The rest of her fucking life, she's going to have to live with this guilt that it's kind of her fault in a way that all these people died. If she didn't fuck with the box, actually, technically, if she was going to be this kind of person and think this far back, if she didn't start having a drinking and drug problem, she wouldn't have gone to rehab. She wouldn't have gone to rehab. She wouldn't have met Trevor. She wouldn't have met Trevor. She wouldn't have been put in the place in front of the box. She didn't meet the box. She wouldn't have gotten all her friends killed. You see where I'm going with this? But she had some good development. She had, I think as Bidwell put it, a Mia arc from The Evil Dead, where, of course... we have the first 20 minutes, and this kind of irked me a little bit. I'm going to be honest, this kind of irked me a little bit. seriously, name one thing that didn't irk me about this movie. At least I didn't hate it. That's a good thing. I didn't hate it. It just irked me. But basically, Riley, in the first 20 minutes, has she's a drug addict. She's an alcoholic. She had a problem. She's recovering. Whoop. And now she fell. She crashed. Like, there's no in between with her. It's literally, we see her, and then we see her crash. And then we watch the carnage happen after the fact. And I feel like they really could have done a lot more with her besides the Mia arc at the end of the movie. Like, I was telling my roommate, one of my thoughts was what they could have done to add more to the characters, even if it was just a few extra just scenes, was have a kind of a day in the life situation where we literally see, like, we cut to the 6 years later, we see her fucking her stupid fucking boyfriend. We had the awkward, meeting, like, oh, we all heard you fuck. Then we could have literally cut to the next day, watch her struggle with her addiction, because the whole movie premise is about addiction. So I feel like they really wanted to make the addiction a big aspect of the movie. They really could have followed more of her life. Just watch her just in her day, walk by a bar and just kind of hesitating, just, oh, I missed that smell. No, I'm recovering. Or see, like, two pill heads in the alleyway, popping pills or something. Like, we could have seen a bit of a struggle of her fighting and have her come home at some point of, like, spending the entire afternoon trying to find a job and not finding one. And then her brother just kind of hounding on her going, hey, listen, rent's coming up. I can't keep covering your ass. Come on, I need you to back me up. And then, of course, Trevor could come back over. They could have, like, a little awkward, like, hey, he wasn't invited for dinner situation. She tells him to leave. Then they kind of had the argument about Trevor, which then led her to have her meltdown, head over to Trevor's house, then have the whole talk with Trevor, and then once there, then have the whole situation with the crash and shit. Like, I really feel like if they would have had it could have been 15 minutes of the movie. Like, you're telling me you're gonna find 15 minutes to cut out of this movie? Like seriously. Like, a lot of it's just, it's dry. It's just dry. So you're telling me you couldn't find 15 minutes to slack on in there? But yeah, I just really feel like Riley could have been done more with. Really could have done more. And especially with the attic frame that they were going with. Like I was saying earlier, one of the biggest things that they've taken away from this movie is the sex appeal. And what they really could have done to add, like, more appeals to the box is, alright, so originally you were just drawn to the box. I always thought it was a desire to open the box from all the rules and regulations of, hey, I really want to get into this box. What the fuck's in this box? So my thoughts was, it's always was driven by desire. Well, one of the biggest things you can desire is sexual pleasure. So I thought a scene they could have done a little bit differently was the scene when her brother goes missing and she goes to find Trevor for one of the times, and she ends up having sex with him. What they could have done to add the attic aspect was the sexual addict, the sexual desire, the addiction to having sex, basically. And what they could have done, I know a lot of y'all like, okay, we get it. You're talking about sex. You want more sex. No, it has nothing to do with that. Let me get my train of thought together. But basically, while she's having sex with her boyfriend, Chatter shows up. She gets terrified. She covers up. Oh my God, I'm seeing terrible things. She does that bullshit. And, we go into the next scene. Well, what they could have done was, while she's having sex with her boyfriend, she's all into it, she's really, like, feeling it, going ham. And then she sees Chatter, but instead of being, oh my God, Chatter, and freaking the fuck out, she's more lost in, like, she zones out. Like, she starts staring at Chatter. and then you can hear like the chains whispering behind her, and then Pinhead's voice saying, "If not you, another." And as she's going through this, the sex gets more intense. It gets more into it. Like she's starting to feel it. Like her nails start digging into Trevor's skin a little bit. Starts getting a little uncomfortable, and she's really feeling it. And then she can snap out of it and like freak the fuck out. Like, oh my god, what the hell am I doing? I'm literally having sex in front of a demon and then freaking out and shit. But that really could have played off the sexual desire to open the box and fuck with the box some more. Because at this point, I literally have like a bunch of notes from the movie, and one of the top things I kept writing down the entire time was stupid people. Stupid people doing stupid things. Why the fuck do stupid people keep touching the box? Stupid people. Why are people so stupid? That's literally like all my fucking notes. But yeah, it just, a lot of it just didn't make sense of why they would touch the box and why they would go near the box and all this shit. Let's see. What else do I got on here? Well, now that we got done talking about some of the character developments, or lack of character development, and lack of somewhat decent writing throughout this story, because again, the writing wasn't bad. It wasn't very good. It was very basic, but it wasn't bad. They had moments again with Trevor. Like, I feel like if they would have done more writing like they did with Trevor, we really could have gotten somewhere with this shit. But they didn't. But let's talk about the Cenobites. Of course we have Pinhead being the main example. Very intimidating, very, I wouldn't say brooding, but very intimidating for sure. Actually, to be honest, I really don't know what to say about the Cenobites I haven't already said. And it doesn't help that I don't know which Cenobite's which. Like, I really don't. Like, I should have probably Googled images and be like, okay, which one's this? Because I couldn't tell you which one was what. But the design of each of the Cenobites was really, really good. And so they do have personality about them. Each one has their own little personality about them. So don't get that twisted. They do have their own personalities. Of course, like I said, you got Pinhead being the main honcho, and she very intimidating, especially with a unisex voice going on. The way she speaks is very soft. And I like that, where Doug Bradley was very kind of harsh, like kind of angry, very like threw out his voice. I forget what it's called in acting. Well, when you're on stage, you project your voice. That's it. He projects his voice. Where Jamie, she kind of keeps quiet and very low down, but she's still projecting it and very intimidating about that. Chatter, like I said, he got the shit in the stick when he literally shows up for all like 15 minutes of the movie and ends up just getting killed. By rules I don't get. Fuck you, loopholes that make no sense. But okay, box. Keep telling me how you really feel. I want to say it's the Weeper. It's the one that looks like Angelique, but she did a really good job. She has that intimidating factor, just like Pinhead. And to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, that may not be such a good idea, because the fact that Pinhead is supposed to be the main, Cenobite, the main head honcho, and looking at the one that looks like Angelique, which I'm just gonna call the Weeper at this point. This is probably the wrong Cenobite, but I'm gonna call it the Weeper. Basically, the Weeper, she is kind of like speaks the same way as Pinhead. She really kind of speaks the same way as Pinhead. She has no different communications, no different ways of speaking. She's just as soft but as intimidating. And I like that, but I don't know if I really like that as personality-wise. Because, Chatter, he does his thing with his little chattering teeth, that bullshit. And you got the one that I want to say it's a gasper, who looks like he's stuck in a straitjacket, just constantly gasping for fucking air. God. It's probably that dude from the hospital, to be honest. Man, that poor dude. But yeah, each one looked unique. Don't get me wrong, each one looked unique. But you really can't tell the difference unless someone showed up a picture and went, hey, this is what this one is, this is what this one is. Like, I really couldn't tell you the difference. And that's a bit of the disappointing factor when it comes to the writing, that it just doesn't help you really clarify the difference between all these Cenobites. As to be frank, with a lot of the main cast itself, you really couldn't interchange it out, and they'll probably be basically the same characters. The only person that really stands out is Jamie Clayton as Pinhead, and that says a lot, especially in a movie that is about, Pinhead. In a way, Hellraiser's never been about Pinhead, but in a way, the movie's like Pinhead. But let's go on to some of the nods about the movie. The movie had some excellent nods to some of the previous work, especially the first two movies. You had the Leviathan coming down from the sky in the same little diamond shape configuration he's in, and I want to say it's the second one as well, with the labyrinth pits you see once they get inside the hell. You kind of get the same, to be honest, it looks almost exactly the same imagery from the second movie in this version, and the 2022 version of this movie. I think it's right when Leviathan shows up, you see the maze labyrinth. It looks really, really cool. It looks really, really cool, and I can appreciate a good nod to the second movie. And also another thing, I think I mentioned this during the lawyer's death, is that we had the pillar that shows up, which is supposed to be reminiscent of the pillar from the ending of the second movie. And of course some of the iconic lines, and something that caught my eye about the ending that they talk about, of course, the iconic line, demon to some, angels to others. If you take that line and take it and the way Roland viewed the Cenobites, because I think even the lawyer stated that Roland, like many, viewed the Cenobites as angels and demons, but he mainly called him, I think the line was, he called them his angels. So that imagery is seen a lot in the design aspects of the 2022 remake of this movie, where I get, once again, gritty and dark was just the tone of the first movie. But the house design of the whole box, that was very more towards the... Again, there's so many of these damn movies, I can never keep track of which one was which. But the boxes, symbolism, a lot of the iconic lines. And of course, she says the biggest iconic line, "Oh, we have such sights to show you." And of course, the hold your breath, the weights of good screaming or something. It's a nod to the tear line back in the first movie and stuff. But overall, this is not a bad movie. It really is not a bad movie at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't see it as a classic I would put on every fucking year, or a movie I would watch every year. I see it maybe putting it on, background fodder, background noise. I do recommend it though. If you're a fan of Hellraiser, if you're looking for like a PG-13 version of it, that's basically it. Like, they can say it's rated R you want, but throwing a couple of curse words does not make it rated R. And a couple of CGI blood does not make it rated R. Like, I'm sorry, rated R to me is like original Nightmare on Elm Street. Covered in blood. But I give this movie a 6 out of 10, to be honest. It does make my top 3 in Hellraiser movies, but to be honest, they ain't saying much. That really is not saying much, because there's 11 of these bad boys. And about 9 of them sucked. Or not really 9, but vast majority of them were not very good. Yeah, I think that's all I have in my notes, to be honest. I think I made a lot of my points, even though my points were scattered all over the place. I think I made my points. Again, guys, I've never really done this before. It's my first time doing a podcast, but it was something I wanted to try, something I wanted to do. Yeah, the only other thing I got about the lighting effects, which I really liked the lighting to this movie. To be honest, the lighting was very reminiscent to the originals, especially 80s horror movies in general, with all the harsh like reds and the harsh blues. But overall, this is not a bad movie. It's really good to a degree. Let me put it that way. It's really okay. So when I say a really good movie, I mean, again, good background noise, you know, a movie if you're trying to introduce somebody to horror that's, like, not really big into gore and shit, or just someone who's just interested in the Hellraiser franchise. This is not a bad movie to start with. This really is not a bad movie to start with. Yeah, because there's a bunch of bad Hellraisers out there that, you know, I would not recommend. But this is one of those ones I would recommend. Out of all the Hellraisers I have seen or have sat down, unfortunately, and watched because I just felt like watching it, this one ain't that bad. Now, I will say that it was boring at some parts. There were some parts I was kind of bored during. Mainly, to be honest, I was bored during the... I think it was around that right before Nora's death, when they're all in the mansion just chilling out, and Roland makes his first appearance, and that's when you kind of get the big reveal of Trevor being the asshole and working with Roland. That section right there was it was boring. It was boring. I felt like it could have been cut out. I think the only reason why they kept it in the movie was because it explained some things about the box. They explain, you know, the configurations and what they do, which I could appreciate a movie that just did that and actually have a good reason to do it instead of just, here's the information, have fun with it. They actually explain, hey, I did research and this is what I found out. I like that. But I felt like it was drawn out way too fucking much, to be honest. I guess I can get to my likes and dislikes about the movie. Again, my likes for the movie was it has some good writing at some points. The character of Roland was really good. I liked Trevor. So funny enough, all the bad guys. I liked all the bad guys. 100% absolutely in love with Jamie Clayton's Hell Priest as Pinhead. She did a really good job. The music, oh god, the music. I love the music. The music was really good. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's not like one of those scores I will listen to like Halloween. Because I will, like, while I was getting all this shit set up, I was had the 2018 score playing, and my roommate just comes in like, "Are you okay? This a thing? You all right?" It's like, "Yeah, man, I'm fine. I'm good." But yeah, the music was really good, and the lighting, and like I said, the build-ups. They had some good build-ups, some good practical effects, some good prosthetic effects. Like, they did really fucking good. When they gave us the most, and what they gave us was really, really good. I just wish they would push the envelope just a bit. Maybe they were just, like, dipping their toe in the water, you know, giving it a shot, you know, swinging it around a little bit, you know, maybe contemplating whether or not this is a franchise they want to keep going with. But I feel like they really could have done more. Maybe they were just playing it safe. Like, that could have been it. They could have just been playing it safe. And, you know, trying to see, hey, see if there's something Hulu's down for. Or they could have just not fully wanted to commit all the way. Because they're like, that's a lot of blood and guts and shit to go through. But what they showed us was good. But it wasn't enough for me. And that brings me on to my dislikes. So, what didn't I like about this movie? Just about everything. No, I'm kidding. What I liked about this movie was a lot of the writing in some aspects when it came to Trevor. And I've mentioned this several times before. Just Trevor's writing was really good. Pinhead writing was really good. The writing was there. The building was there. Everything was there. They had all the pieces right in front of them. They just missed a couple of shots here and there. Just like, it's like having a puzzle, but we're missing like a corner piece and like one in the middle, and it's kind of throwing itself. But it wasn't that bad when it comes to the writing. Granted, though, like I said, everybody's kind of one-noted. They're there for a reason, and that's it. We're not supposed to feel for these characters. We're not supposed to really like these characters. We're not supposed to understand these characters. Like, we're just literally watching, as I put it, watching stupid people do stupid things. And everybody has their reason. There are reasons to be here. You know, Riley is the main character. Roland's the main antagonist. You have Suzanne, who is plot information and body count. Nora, who's body count. Colin, who is the sympathetic. Something I've learned about a lot of the modern horror movies, they don't do final girls anymore. It's always a final girl and one of their friends. So Colin, unfortunately, was the sidekick. He was the sidekick. And of course, Trevor being the twist villain. And that's pretty one-noted, pretty standard when it comes to the horror movies. And I feel like with 2 fucking hours, you could have done so much. And yet, they did, and yet they didn't. If that makes any sense. They did have so much, but yet they had not enough. Like, another thing I didn't like was, like I said, they could have added some more character development. And some of the scenes they could have taken out to add this character development was like the scene where Riley goes to talk to Pinhead after the whole betrayal of Trevor. No, wait, Trevor hasn't been showed the betrayal yet. It was right before the betrayal, actually. It was right before the betrayal. She went outside to talk to Pinhead, and Pinhead just reiterated what she already said to her earlier in the film on the bridge. And she's just like, well, I don't want to do this. And Pinhead's like, well, you really got not much of a choice. And then, of course, they all start coming out to swarm her because her original choice was, well, I don't want anyone else to die for me. So they took it as, well, I guess you want to die. And that was not the case. And, of course, Colin comes out and saves her. And then that's when they come up with the idea that they need to trap one of the Cenobites inside so they can stab the Cenobite to, I guess, change the configuration. But they didn't go anywhere with that. That's the thing. They never went anywhere with that, especially with the whole Colin being kind of immune. Like, they didn't really play with that. Like, they did it for one scene and then just threw it out. And they did that for a lot of shit. Like, they had so many moments that were written into the scene just be thrown out right before the scene ended. And it made no sense to me. Like I said, the writing was weak but strong at the same time. And that's disappointing because, like I said, like, they had their moments. They really had their moments where they could have some strong-ass writing. But it just wasn't there at some points. It just was not there at some points. Well, looks like we're about an hour and a half in. I could ramble on a bit more about Hellraiser, but that's just basically it. Like, unfortunately, because I don't have anybody to bounce topics and ideas off, and again, I love my horror. I do. I'm very passionate about my horror, but Hellraiser just wasn't one of those movies. And I wanted my first podcast to be, this one be a bit of a trial run to see how all this goes, see how it all plays out. And so far, everything's going good. Bit rate's been steady. Everything's been pretty good. So it looks like, it was a good idea. But I didn't want to go, like, too crazy and start blowing my load, like, really, really early. Because just of the fact that, I don't, it's just, I cannot speak right this second. It's just, I don't know, how all this is going to play out. So I want to do something that I haven't seen before, but something I'm familiar with. And I'm very familiar with the Hellraiser series. Never, like, the biggest fan of them, like I said, but I have seen the movies. I've enjoyed quite a few of them, not many, though. And I just wanted to start off something soft, simple, like a nice little soft boot. Like a nice little soft boot, basically. I got, like, the new background, new music and stuff. But, I think today's gone pretty well for podcasts. I'm sorry, this is new, and starting next week, I'll be back into the gaming. Wednesday, I'll do something. It's just, I was trying to make sure I have everything prepared up. I'm thinking about getting some new emotes and badges and stuff, because mainly this is what I'm going to be focusing on the most, is my podcast here. The gaming, of course, will be on the side for YouTube. So if anybody wants to check out my actual gaming, footage, please go to my YouTube at Amanda Plays 93, where you can catch up on all the videos I posted on the stream, all in edited form, with some off the stream videos as well. But yeah, I'm hoping that once I get Bidwell in, and maybe we get a few more times into this, I'll be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed. I won't be saying and pausing and doing some weird shit. But yeah, I didn't want to blow my load off too fucking early in the start of all this, because I just want to see how all this plays out. Next week, I'm very excited for next week's episode. Number 2 will be talking about the entire trilogy of Halloween, the original Halloween, the Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and of course Halloween Ends, which comes out tonight, everybody. So I will be watching Halloween Ends. I will be talking about Halloween Ends. And me and Bidwell will be getting together next week, discussing Halloween Ends and how the trilogy overall came out, and figure out which one out of all the trilogy movies, which one's the best. I'm saying this one, hopefully, because I do have high hopes for this movie. I really do. I really love Halloween, and to be honest, I wanted to end with Laurie and Michael duking it out. That's it. As long as I get a 20-minute boss fight between them two, I will be fine. But yeah, we're gonna get the little bit more iron out, more smooth out, and like I said, I'll probably talk about things I'm more passionate about as the show goes on. I wanted a nice soft reboot with something I haven't done or haven't watched before, and just see how this will play out, because there's a lot of movies I want to watch and review and talk about. There was Smiley that just came out in theaters. Of course, Halloween Ends. And, it's not just, new horror movies. I want to talk about some of the older movies, some of my favorites, like The Changeling, or, of course, Jaws, Nightmare on Elm Street. We have a list and list and list of horror movies. We have tons of topics and discussions we can have about horror movies. So, I feel like this could be the start of something really, really nice on the channel, and something I'm really excited to continue on doing. And like I said, I still will be doing gaming on Wednesdays. Like I said, I just got to cut back the gaming because of the bitrate situation that's going on. But so far, like I thought originally, Thursdays are going without a hitch, no problems. So it's looking really good. It's looking really, really good, and I'm actually really happy about how this is all turning out, to be honest. Hopefully, I can't even say hopefully, I know for a fact, next week definitely will be going on a lot longer. And I probably have my train of thought a lot better, especially having Bidwell with me. Because like I said, I know with this particular one, I was probably all over the place. Even though I took notes, I had my notes organized, I was still bouncing all over my notes and shit. But, yeah, I'm going to try to get better at this, guys, because this is something I'm really looking forward to keep on doing and keep trying. I just still got a lot to learn about this shit. Still lots to learn. But we're going to end this about 20 minutes early, because I can't think of anything else to say about this movie besides it's a solid 6 out of 10 for me. If you're a fan of Hellraiser, I say check it out. If you're trying to get into Hellraiser, I say check it out. If you're looking for a soft horror movie that's really not that bad, I say check it out, because it hits all the generic basic horror cliches, or not really horror cliches, but horror stereotypes, and it's not that bad. It's not that good, but it ain't that bad. So I give it about an average rating. I might watch it every few years or something. Maybe if I'm doing a Hellraiser marathon or some bullshit, I'll throw it in. But yeah, I don't see this being like a cult classic and something I have to watch every Halloween or every October. But we're going to go ahead and end the podcast stream here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give this video a like, subscribe, and follow, because you never know what fuck shit's going to happen. Trust me, I never fucking know. I didn't think I was going to take a week off of my gaming and do this, but here we are doing a podcast, having a good time, and hopefully we have more to come. I don't know when I'm playing Wednesday, to be honest. I really don't know when I'm playing Wednesday. It could be just about anything. I might do some Dead by Daylight, because I will be playing Dead by Daylight off stream here this week, being the Halloween event that's coming up. Oh, it's either already out or it's already coming up. But the point is, I'll probably have some footage to show y'all at some point next week on YouTube if y'all are down to see that. But like I said, guys, I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if I don't see y'all Wednesday with whatever horror game I decide to play, then I'll see y'all Thursday with I'm just gonna call it the trilogy overall for Halloween. I'll see y'all Thursday for the trilogy overall for Halloween for podcast number 2. So hopefully we all have a good night. So until then, my friends,